Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Too Many Guys Soccer Show short. I'm Chelsea Mike Shistak, your host for tonight's Cup review of the ongoing Carabao sponsored League Cup, as well as a preview of round 4 of the FA Cup. We've reached the point at the Carabao Cup where the ties are decided over two legs for reasons no one knows, and we have only Premier League sides remaining in that competition. However, the FA Cup has not yet reached that point, and hope springs eternal for the one non-league side, as well as a number of lower league clubs still looking for that big upset. So let's get started at what happened in the first leg of the semis over in the League Cup. Now, both of our matchups had the underdog sides hosting top four competition in their own buildings, a chance to win at home and send notice that an upset was in the cards. However, none of our hosts took that opportunity. It was a bit more promising for Southampton, who hosted Newcastle at St. Mary's Park, but that was really only in comparison to the other semifinal. Newcastle looked every bit the better side and had far more quality scoring opportunities, many of which they squandered. It took the Magpies until the 73rd minute to find Joel Linton in the center to finally bury an opportunity after he had already left two others wanting. Meanwhile, having scored only that one goal, Newcastle were vulnerable to the Saints stealing the honors away from them, and the South Coast side appeared to equalize on an own goal immediately after Newcastle's, only to have that goal ruled out for touching a Southampton hand in the process of going in the goal. It was the second time that match goal had been disallowed like that. From there, Kaleda Carr was shown a red, and the Saints scored nothing. The game finished at 1-0. Over at the City Ground in Nottingham, things were far more simple. Marcus Rashford took the lead himself early when he sprinted through practically the entire length of the pitch and the entire defense up the left wing, and he scored. Things might have played out differently had a Sam Surridge equalizer in the 23rd not been ruled out by VAR for offside. But from there, Man U rolled, adding two more goals, including the Wout Weghorst first goal in Manchester Red, and Bruno Fernandes added another as well. They'll roll back to Old Trafford up 3-0. So the second legs happen next week on January 31st and February 1st. Both are available on those dates at 3 p.m. on ESPN+. I can't really see much changing with what's going on in the ties, and certainly not for United. They seem like they're on a glide path to the final, and while they do have an FA Cup match this weekend, it's against Championship side Reading, and nothing Notts Forest has done this year indicates they're going to overcome a 3-0 hole against Man U away from home, especially considering Forest have only won away from home once this year in the league, and the last time they went to Old Trafford, they lost by that familiar 3-0 scoreline. Stranger things have happened, of course. That's the magic of the FA Cup. Oh, wait, though. This isn't the FA Cup. It's the League Cup. The FA Cup's later. Well, yes, the League Cup, the annual competition where you're mad your side lost to a championship side in the second round. I suppose Southampton and Newcastle has more potential for drama, with Newcastle only having a one-goal lead, especially if the Saints can produce an early goal, or even more, two. Keep in mind there's no away goals rule in the Carabao Cup semis, and unlike in the earlier rounds, there will be extra time if the score is level after the 180 minutes of both legs, and there are penalties after that if no one scores an extra time. Both teams will definitely be keen to avoid that, especially Southampton with an FA Cup this weekend. Then they have to go on the road to Brentford the following weekend. Bit of a rough travel schedule for the Saints, who are at home on the South Coast this weekend. then in the far north of England on Tuesday, then back down to West London for Brentford. Add to that the fact the Saints already lost by 3 at St. James in the league, and they're winless in their last 5 against Newcastle. I think we're going to get a Man U Newcastle final at Wembley. Shades of 1999. And that's, if you know, you know. And if you know, you probably at least know who Alan Shearer is, and if not, Dieter Hamann. Well, anyway, that 1999 match was an FA Cup final, so let's switch our attention there. The marquee matchup of the weekend is the first one, with Man City taking on Arsenal at the Etihad on Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Both teams enter the match off some good wins, with Arsenal taking down Man U in the Premier League, probably the best match of the season so far, as well as beating their hated rival Tottenham in the battle to be the second best team in London, the North London Derby. You see, I'm Chelsea, Mike Shostak. Chelsea. And almost every other year that holds the second best team, but, well. Hey, anyway, something has to give in this City-Arsenal matchup. Pep Guardiola has won 13 of 16 meetings against Arsenal. However, the only 2 times he lost them outright were in the FA Cup. Yet, City rule at home in the FA Cup, having won their last 9 matches at the Etihad and having scored 3 goals in all of those matches. Do you know who the last team to do that is? It was Blackburn Rovers in 1885. So that said, something has to give. You'd be hard-pressed not to give Arsenal the upper hand here. They're undefeated since the World Cup break and look the mightiest side in English football this year. But the league, of course, is not the FA Cup, and Pep is going to want this. But when Pep wants things, he tends to overthink things. I could actually see extra time in this, but I doubt it'll be a 0-0 match. We should see goals. But again, I think Arsenal get through here, and the Gunners, if that happens, you should be overjoyed. The last 3 times you've beaten City in the FA Cup, in 1971, 2017, and 2020, you have gone on to win it. Fortuitous there. So while that might be the marquee matchup this weekend, I don't think it's the most interesting. That honor falls to Liverpool versus Brighton, which will take place at 8:30 Eastern on Sunday. Sorry to the West Coast Reds. But Brighton are currently above Liverpool in the table, and Brighton just beat Liverpool 3-0 at the Amex embarrassingly. And that's the same ground where this match will take place. Brighton have hung 3 goals on Liverpool twice already this year, and with the Reds' form looking shaky at best, one has to wonder, will this be their 5th exit in the 4th round in the last 7 years? We shall see. For Liverpool, you'd expect them to really want to go for this. It's their only realistic shot at a non-community shield piece of silverware this year. And I don't think I'm being harsh there, as the mood of the Liverpool correspondents on the Too Many Guys Soccer Show does not indicate they have very high hopes against Real Madrid in the Champions League. I would still kind of be surprised if they win here, although the odds makers have Liverpool as a slight favorite. And with that said, Brighton might be your bet of the week. And actually, the odds for a draw are some of the best in the entire FA Cup field this week. But I'd imagine both sides wouldn't want that. As a reminder, the 4th round this year still has replays. But speaking of replays, how about those little guys? What about the non-league sides? Well, 2 of them forced replays in the last round, and guys, I've got to tell you, they didn't make it. So West Brom took down Chesterfield 4-0, and Boreham Wood forced extra time, actually, against Accrington Stanley of League One before conceding the winner in the 97th minute of extra time. So that leaves us only with 1 non-league sides, and the executives of the FX network grin as I remind you that team is Wrexham. And while the storyboard editors may have wanted those mighty underdogs to walk into Old Trafford or the Emirates for a chance at their glory, they will instead take on Sheffield United at home on Sunday at 11:30 Eastern. Do they have a chance? Well, did Rocky have a chance against that Russian dude? Did the Mighty Ducks have a chance against Iceland? Did the Jamaican bobsled team have a chance to win the gold? No, of course not. And the Jamaicans didn't. But Wrexham will have to believe in the magic of the FA Cup and not the fact that Sheffield's are currently practically a shoe-in to return to the Premier League next year. Wrexham are, of course, atop the conference, their league, the National League. But I really think that winning this for them would be a miracle, even at home. Believe? So if I'm looking at a lower league upset of a Premier League side, why not League One Derby County against West Ham? The Rams are undefeated in their last 14 matches in all competitions, having won their last 6. In fact, the Rams' last defeat was against Liverpool in League Cup all the way back in November, and even that was only on penalties. West Ham, they beat the struggling Everton side last weekend and killed Frank Lampard, but otherwise they haven't really impressed. This match is at the ground for sponsorship reasons, formerly known as Pride Park in Derby, and it is on Monday Night Football in the UK, 3 p.m. Eastern here, so expect the atmosphere to be lit. All right, finally, I'll go through the windows here. Like in round 3, the majority of these matches will take place at 10 a.m. on Saturday, 3 p.m. Britain. And like in round 3, ESPN Plus will have the goal show to take you around the grounds and show you every goal in that particular window. Also, every match will be streaming, so it's all out there for you to watch. In addition to the matches that I previously mentioned, you'll have in the 7:30 Saturday window League 2 Walsall at home against Leicester, and League 1 Accrington Stanley against Leeds. I think Walsall might be your better upset possibility there, but we shall see. 10 a.m. with the goal show will feature Sheffield Wednesday versus Fleetwood, Southampton versus Blackpool, Ipswich and Burnley, Bristol City West Brom, Luton Town taking on Grimsby, and Fulham against Sunderland at Craven Cottage in one of those good old-fashioned matches. Saturday concludes with Preston North End against Tottenham in a match I could see Tottenham overlooking at 1 p.m., and then Man U at home against Reading at 3. Sunday starts with Brighton Liverpool, but then later in that window has Stoke of the Championship at home against Stevenage of League 2. Now, I checked. It will not be that cold in Stoke. But Stoke shouldn't take a Stevenage side who beat Villa lightly. After that, then there's the Wrexham game, and then Derby and West Ham on Monday. All right, well, by this time next week, we'll know who has made it through to Wembley in one competition, and if anyone has shocked the world in another. Fortunately, I won't have the joy of seeing Chelsea at all this weekend, and even the women are in the FA Cup, and, I don't think I can watch the Women's FA Cup here in the U.S. But if you know of a way that I can, drop a comment below on YouTube and let me know where. So for the Too Many Guys Soccer Show, this has been Chelsea Mike Shustak. We did our best this week. We'll try to do better next time.